Welcome back to another episode of Vintage Volts. So finally we are done. Last few days we've put the final finishing touches onto the Porsche 930, and basically, as you see, there's snow on the ground and we're about to drive it down to Copenhagen to deliver it to Peter. And so we want to show you the changes, the details, how it drives, all the little bits and pieces of this 930 that is just gorgeous. All right, so first we're going to show you the changes, or not the changes, of the interior. All right, so here is the interior of our electrified 930. So what you see is the dials are all changed out, even though it's all analog still, as we promised to the customers. So you have, the only thing is that all the analog stuff shows relevant information to the electric drivetrain now. But the heater is hooked up to the original heater sliders. The stereo, we put in a Blaupunkt stereo, but it is modernized as well. Phone holder, of course, that's the only thing I would say that kind of, there's just no way to get around of it looking out of place. But the other thing Peter wanted us to do is actually update the stereo system, the sound experience. So this is why we have a built-in subwoofer into a nice two-channel system here. Now also changing our shift knob. This is exactly the same position as the original shift knob was. So that you have the same feeling, and except that it's electric, so you forward for drive, reverse goes back, and then we have some buttons as a range mode button, so you can charge up to 80% only. Vehicle to load, so there's a plug here, so you can plug in any kind of 230 device, so a laptop, or you want to run a whole PA system outside, tent, whatever you like. But anyway, so there's that, and then there's the charge disconnect. And yeah, otherwise, I mean, the interior is exactly the same looking, and you can't even tell it's electric when you get in it. It's just a beautiful 930. All right, so we're in the garage to show you what the electrification looks like from basically inside and out. So we'll do a little walkthrough underneath. Right off the bat, you can see battery attachments, and also where the gas tank used to be that covered the floor, we've now weatherproofed it so that we have a nice aeroflow. And otherwise, everything else is original all the way back here until you get to this point where you see the large performance drive unit here with the skid plate. These are original axles, actually, and with the Tesla stub axles here. Now the motor is actually the motor cradle is part of the battery box, and here you actually see really big bolts, and you can see them from the top. We'll show you that as well, where that's all attached to the original attachment points where the original motor and gearbox was already. So that's why we're not actually cutting, drilling, or we're using all the, what's lovely here is you can see all the high voltage is running through the tunnel, low voltage loom, the cooling to the front and rear battery boxes are through here. And so that's all using existing holes that have been in the car to begin with. The only transition is where we use the Tesla stub axles that we attached to the original Porsche axles. And yeah, then we also have the cooling fans for the motor and the batteries, so that's separated here, and vacuum pump system for the original brakes. So now we're going to go up and show you what it looks like when we open up the lid. So now for the Porsche business end of things. First off, actually, I want to point out this lovely 930 electric logo. So Peter, the customer, was playing around with that, designed it, and got these custom made. So we have one inside, as you saw, and one on the outside. Very, very nice font, etc., that matches the car. And here we are. Not all that much to see, but what we have is we have the battery box, which is the engine cradle as you saw underneath, and we have the there's one header tank is for the battery system and one is for the motor cooling system. And then this is our charger slash DC-DC converter slash kind of everything. It's the magic box, really. And then if you look over here, these are the engine mounts and that we've utilized. And on that note, we have had quite a few negative comments for the haters or the people that have said, oh, you have ruined the car. Now, yeah, sure, to each their own, but this system is completely reversible. So we haven't cut or drilled into this car at all, as I've been pointing out throughout the whole video, really. And so what we've done actually, the motor, the gearbox, everything is going to be staying with this car so that it matches, so that the car's value stays intact, really. And this way, it's just going to get a new life of being able to be used as a really nice daily driver with better balance and better double the horsepower, really. So, yeah. So that's all that's to see here, and then we can go and just check out the Frunk and see what we have there. So now for the Porsche Frunk, we've actually used the original liner that was in the Porsche when it came to us. So where the gas tank used to be is where the battery box is now mounted. And of course we have the service disconnect here. 12-volt battery here, so we're actually running a dual 12-volt battery system just to balance it out. And otherwise, under there, the high voltage cables are hidden, but under there we have the new air conditioning system that is used on gas power Porsches or the electric ones. And lastly, what I think one of my favorite parts of it is the charge port. So this is where the gas tank used to be. And of course we have, it just fit perfectly for the CCS and Type 2 CCS charge port. So yeah, use it the same way. And so now I think it's time to move on to a little bit of driving. All right, so what is this thing like to drive? Well, first of all, when you get in it, it's like regular. You put the key in, turn it to on, dials do their thing. And yeah, then it's analog, but the rest of the drive is non-comparable to the old vehicle. And all right, so I guess the biggest thing is this. The power in this, right now we have snow on the ground and everything. First of all, there is traction control on this car, but that is a major improvement because it is Tesla large performance drive unit that is a monster. This car still weighed in pretty much the same as it did originally, so all the weights of the batteries and the drive unit came out to be the same weight. Let me just focus on this a bit. All right. As you saw, I could do a turnaround because we have power steering. And the power steering itself is amazing as well. It just makes this car so much more usable because now the weight distribution in it, it's amazing. Like it's almost 50-50. It's kind of 47, 48, 52. And I think the thing that really blows me away is when we had some dry pavement last week when we were driving, we did a 500 kilometer loop. it was mind-blowing how much power this thing can put down. And even going 100k an hour, you jam the throttle and it still wants to rip the tires loose. Luckily the traction control lets it, stops it from doing that. And all that stuff, you can turn off the traction control, you can turn it on, turn it off. The other thing that was really nice is how fast this thing charges. So it really, we stopped, basically by the time we had a coffee, the car was ready before us. So, you know, the usability of this vehicle now has really gone up. The other thing about this car now, it was what you call the Widowmaker. That's the name it got, and we really wanted to keep that spirit with this car. Now, doubling its horsepower, tripling or quadrupling its torque has been pretty incredible experience in this car. So really pumped the way this thing came out. A little launch. So slippery. That's traction control, definitely at its best. Oh. All right, Johan, so this is your first thoughts on the Porsche. So he just jumped in and is trying it out, and I want everybody to really, I want my wife to try it, other people to try it, so that can they start it? It should be all the same. So what are your first thoughts?
Yeah, it's awesome. I haven't driven this car before, so I can't really compare it, but it's super simple and easy to drive, and there's a lot of power. It really, yeah, I don't know what to say with it.
It's hard to say, actually, like, just as a little chat, like, I wish I could really get this on video. The first time I did it, I drove it on drive payment, and it's like, it is gobs of power. It feels like a bottomless well. Like, the car is, you just drive it so hard and it does nothing. Also, you mentioned it's a really nice compact feeling.
Yeah, it feels super light and nimble, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, and that has nothing to do with the electrification of the Porsche. This car, you know, main thing for us is not to lose the spirit. If anything, enhance it so that you can really hop in and just drive. And so that's
yeah, it's nice. That's all I can say.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for coming along and watching our trip with the Porsche, and we can't wait to show you the next project.